The security camera footage showed my son's face when the locks didn't work. I sold the shop for $920,000. I'm Walter Morrison, 64 years old, retired firefighter, widowed for 6 years. And until 2 weeks ago, I owned Morrison's Auto Repair on Southeast Hawthorne Boulevard in Portland, Oregon. The betrayal happened on a Sunday. Michael and his wife Jennifer had invited me over for a barbecue. Their daughter Emma was turning 7. My granddaughter. The house was full of people, music playing, kids running around the backyard. I'd brought a gift, played with Emma on the swing set, ate too many hot dogs. A perfect family afternoon. Around 4 o'clock, I went inside to use the bathroom. The downstairs one was occupied, so I headed upstairs. That's when I heard voices coming from Michael's home office. The door was cracked open about 2 inches. My son's voice. Tommy agrees. The old man's lost his edge. He can barely keep up with the paperwork anymore. A woman's voice. Jennifer. Babe, I know you're frustrated, but... Frustrated? Michael cut her off. Mom, he's going to run that shop into the ground. We need to act now while it's still worth something. Tommy found a buyer. National chain. They're offering $920 for the property and business. We could split it, start over somewhere else, maybe Arizona. My hand was on the doorknob. I should have walked in, confronted them, demanded an explanation. But I didn't. Jennifer's voice again, softer. What about your dad? Where would he go? He's got his pension, Social Security. He'd be fine. Hell, we could even help him find a nice assisted living place. Somewhere he doesn't have to worry about running a business he clearly can't handle anymore. I backed away from the door. Walked downstairs on autopilot. Found the other bathroom. Splashed cold water on my face. Looked at myself in the mirror. The same face that had stared back at me from countless mirrors in burning buildings, in hospital rooms when Catherine was dying, in the empty house after her funeral. Lost my edge. Can't handle it anymore. Assisted living. I was 64, not 94. I went back outside. Sang, "Happy birthday." Cut the cake. Hugged my granddaughter. Told Michael and Jennifer, thank you, for a lovely afternoon. I didn't say a word about what I'd heard. That night, I sat in my small apartment above the shop and thought about everything. The shop had been my father's before me, opened in 1973. I'd worked there after school as a teenager, learned every inch of that place. When Dad retired in 2003, he'd sold it to me for $1. $1. Because it was never about the money. It was about legacy, family, trust. Catherine had loved that shop. Even when I was working at the fire station, I'd spend evenings and weekends there. After she got sick, after the diagnosis, we'd sit in the office together. Her doing crossword puzzles while I did paperwork. The smell of motor oil and coffee. The sound of the garage doors. The radio playing classic rock. Michael had never wanted it. He'd gone to business school, worked in corporate finance, made good money. I'd never pushed him. Never expected him to take over. When his cousin Tommy, my brother's kid, asked if he could work at the shop after high school, I'd said yes immediately. Tommy loved cars. Had the touch. I'd taught him everything I knew. 5 years ago, I'd made Tommy a partner. 25% ownership. I thought I was doing the right thing, keeping it in the family, giving him stake in something he'd helped build. Now they wanted to force me out. Sell my father's legacy to a national chain. Split $920,000. I didn't sleep that night. Monday morning I called my lawyer, Todd Fisher. We'd gone to high school together. He'd handled Catherine's estate, my retirement papers from the fire department, the partnership agreement with Tommy. Todd, I need to see you today. It's urgent. We met at his office at 10. I told him everything. He listened without interrupting, taking notes on a yellow legal pad. When I finished, he leaned back in his chair. Walter, I have to ask, are you sure about what you heard? There's no chance you misunderstood? I'm sure. He nodded slowly. Okay, here's the situation. You own 75%. Tommy owns 25%. Michael owns nothing. Legally, they can't force you out. They can't sell without your consent. But he held up a hand. If they're planning something, there are ways to make things difficult. Legal challenges to your competency. Claims that you're mismanaging the business. It gets ugly. What are my options? Todd tapped his pen on the desk. You could confront them, clear the air, Maybe it was just talk. Maybe Michael was venting frustration and doesn't really mean it. I shook my head. What else? You could sell, but you'd need to give Tommy right of first refusal per your partnership agreement. If he can't match an outside offer within 30 days, you're free to sell to whoever you want. How long would that take? Best case? 6 to 8 weeks. But here's the thing, Walter. If you want to move fast, really fast, I might have an option. Bill Crawford owns 3 shops around Portland. He approached me 6 months ago, asked if you'd ever be interested in selling. I told him no, but I kept his number. My heart was beating faster. Call him. Todd made the call right there. Put it on speaker. Bill Crawford picked up on the second ring. They exchanged pleasantries. Then Todd got to the point. Bill, Walter Morrison is sitting in my office. He's interested in discussing a potential sale of Morrison's Auto Repair. Full business, property, equipment, client list, everything. A pause. I'm listening. He needs a fast close. Very fast. 2 weeks or less. Cash deal. No contingencies. Another pause. Longer this time. What's the asking price? Todd looked at me. I held up 9 fingers, then 2, then 0. 920,000, Todd said. That's steep. It's a premium location. Established client base. 40 years in business. The property alone is worth 700. And you know it. Let me think about it. Bill, this is a limited time offer. Walter has other interested parties. He didn't, but Bill didn't know that. I need an answer by end of business today. I'll call you back in 2 hours. He called back in 90 minutes. I'll do it. 900,000 even. I need 3 days for inspection. Close in 12 days. Todd looked at me. I nodded. Deal, Todd said. We spent the rest of Monday afternoon drafting papers. Todd would handle everything. Bill Crawford would do his inspection that Thursday. Michael and Tommy were scheduled to leave for the Detroit Auto Show on Wednesday, wouldn't be back until the following Tuesday. Perfect timing. That evening, I went through my apartment above the shop, started packing, slowly, methodically, 30 years of life in this place. Catherine's book still on the shelf, photos on the walls. The coffee maker she'd bought me for Christmas 2010. I packed it all. Tuesday morning I went to the shop as usual. Tommy was already there, working on a transmission. We talked about the weather, about a difficult job coming in on Friday. He seemed normal, friendly even. Maybe he didn't know about Michael's plan. Maybe my son was acting alone. But the partnership agreement made Tommy a co-owner. If the shop sold, he'd get his cut. Even if he didn't initiate the betrayal, he'd benefit from it. I worked until noon, then told Tommy I had a doctor's appointment. I drove to my bank instead. Not the big national bank where I'd kept my accounts for years. A small local credit union. I opened a new account, transferred only enough to cover immediate expenses, left the rest where it was for now, but changed all the passwords, set up new security questions. Catherine's maiden name. The street we'd lived on when we got married. Emma's birthday. Wednesday morning, Michael stopped by the shop. He was leaving for Detroit that afternoon. Hey, Dad. Just wanted to say goodbye before the trip. I looked at my son, really looked at him. He had Catherine's eyes. Her smile, the way she'd tilt her head when she was thinking about something. Have a good trip, I said. Be safe. He hugged me. I hugged him back. Love you, Dad. Love you too, son. Tommy left an hour later. They'd be gone for 6 days. Wednesday to Tuesday, I had the shop to myself. Thursday, Bill Crawford arrived at 8 in the morning with his mechanic and an inspector. They went through everything. Lifts, tools, electrical, plumbing, inventory, financial records for the past 3 years. By 4 in the afternoon, they were done. Bill found me in the office. It's a good operation, Walter. Clean books, loyal customers. I'm glad we could work this out. Me too. Todd says you're in a hurry. Can I ask why? I thought about telling him. But what was the point? Just ready for a change. He nodded. Didn't push. We'll close on Tuesday, 10 in the morning at Todd's office. That weekend I packed the rest of my apartment, called a moving company, paid extra for rush service. They'd come Monday afternoon, load everything, put it in storage until I figured out where I was going next. I spent Saturday going through old files in the shop office. Found the folder from when Dad had sold me the business. The bill of sale for $1. His handwritten note. Walter, This isn't about money. This is about what we build, not what we own. Love, Dad. I put it in my pocket. Sunday afternoon, I drove to my brother's house. Tommy's father. Mark lived in Beaverton with his second wife. We weren't particularly close, but we talked a few times a year. Walt, what brings you by? Just wanted to catch up. Haven't seen you in a while. We sat on his back deck, drank coffee, talked about the Trailblazers, about the rain, about getting old. Finally, I asked, "How's Tommy doing? He seems happy at the shop." Mark's face lit up. "He loves it, Walt. You've been so good to him. Giving him that partnership, that was." He shook his head. "That changed his life." I wanted to ask if Tommy had mentioned anything, but I didn't. Instead, I said, "He's a good kid. Got a real future." I left an hour later. The drive home, I kept thinking about Mark's words. Tommy loves it. Maybe he really didn't know what Michael was planning. Or maybe he loved it so much he was willing to betray me to own it all. Monday morning, I opened the shop as usual. Handled a few customers. An oil change. Brake job. Tire rotation. Simple stuff. Around noon, I closed early. Put up a sign. Family emergency. Closed until further notice. The moving truck came at 2. 3 guys loaded everything from my apartment in under 4 hours. I watched them carry out the couch Catherine and I had bought at a garage sale when we were 25. The dining room table where we'd eaten countless meals. The bed where she'd died. They drove away. My apartment was empty. I went downstairs to the office. Sat at the desk. Wrote 2 letters. The first letter, "Michael, you're right about one thing. I was losing my edge. Not with the shop. With you. I heard what you said at Emma's birthday party. Every word. Assisted living. Lost his edge. Can't handle it anymore. I stood outside your office and listened to my son plan my disposal like I was an old car ready for the junkyard. Morrison's Auto Repair is sold. $920,000. Closed this morning. Bill Crawford owns it now. You won't get a penny." I thought about explaining everything. The sacrifices. The years your mother and I put into building something stable for you. The trust I placed in you and Tommy. But you don't care about that. You care about $920,000. So here it is. I'm gone. I have my money, my pension, my health, and I have the one thing you can't buy, the knowledge that I built something that lasted 40 years. Your grandfather started it. I grew it. And I ended it on my terms. I hope the view is nice in Arizona. Dad. The second letter was shorter. Tommy. I don't know if you were part of Michael's plan, or if you just would have accepted your cut when it came. Either way, your 25% of nothing is nothing. I gave you a chance because you loved this work. Maybe you still do, but love without loyalty isn't worth much. The new owner's name is Bill Crawford. Maybe he'll hire you. Maybe not. That's between you and him. Walter. Tuesday morning, I drove to Todd's office at 9. Bill Crawford was already there. We spent an hour signing papers, bills of sale, transfer documents, liability waivers. Todd had everything organized in neat labeled folders. At 9:53, Bill handed me a cashier's check for $900,000. We shook hands. "The keys?" he asked. I pulled them out of my pocket. The ring had 8 keys on it. Front door, back door, office, safe, supply closet, gate. 2 that I'd forgotten what they opened years ago. I'd carried these keys for 21 years. I handed them to Bill. Todd walked me out. "Where are you going to go, Walt?" "Haven't decided yet. Somewhere warm. Maybe New Mexico. Catherine always wanted to see Santa Fe. You did the right thing. I wasn't sure about that. But I knew I'd done the only thing that felt possible. I drove to the bank, deposited the check, moved money around, set up accounts so Michael couldn't find it even if he tried. Then I drove to a hotel near the airport. Checked in for 2 weeks. I needed time to think, to plan, to breathe. Michael and Tommy were scheduled to land at PDX at 3 in the afternoon. Their flight was on time. I tracked it on my phone while sitting in the hotel room. Before I'd left the shop that morning, I'd done one last thing. Installed a security camera above the front door. Connected it to an app on my phone. Bill Crawford knew about it. He'd keep it up for now. Said it was good security anyway. At 4:15, my phone buzzed. Motion detected. I opened the app. Michael's car pulled into the parking lot. He got out first. Tommy climbed out of the passenger side. They were laughing about something. Relaxed. Happy. Probably had a good trip. Michael walked to the front door, pulled out his key. The key I'd had made for him 15 years ago when he was still in college and would help out during summers. He put it in the lock. Turned it. Nothing happened. He tried again. Jiggled the key. Pulled it out. Looked at it. Put it back in. Tommy was saying something. I couldn't hear audio, but I could read his body language. Confusion. Concern. Michael pulled out his phone. Called someone. Probably me. My phone buzzed with his call. I didn't answer. Tommy tried his key. Same result. The locks had been changed Monday afternoon. Bill's first order of business. Michael walked to the window. Peered inside. I could see his face clearly on the camera. Confusion turning to alarm. He cupped his hands around his eyes, pressed against the glass. The office was empty. Desk cleared. Files gone. Even the calendar Catherine had hung on the wall in 2004 was gone. Michael walked back to the door. There was an envelope taped there, his name written on it in my handwriting. He ripped it off, opened it, started reading. I watched his face, watched the exact moment he understood. His mouth opened. He looked up at Tommy, showed him the letter. Tommy read it. His reaction was different, slower, like he was processing each sentence individually. When he finished, he just stood there, staring at the paper. Michael's face went red. He was shouting, gesturing, pulled out his phone again, dialed. My phone buzzed. I still didn't answer. Jennifer pulled into the parking lot. She must have come separately. She got out, walked over. Michael showed her the letter. Her hand went to her mouth. They stood there for 20 minutes. Michael tried calling me 6 more times, left voicemails, sent texts. Dad, what's going on? Please call me. We need to talk. This is insane. Finally, they left, 3 cars pulling away. I closed the app. My phone rang again. This time it was Mark. Tommy must have called his father. Walt, what the hell is going on? Tommy just called me, said the shop is sold. Said you left him a letter? It's sold, Mark. Why? What happened? Ask your son. He says he doesn't know. He says he came back from Detroit and everything was gone. Then he's lying. Or Michael is. Either way, it's done. Silence on the other end. Then, Jesus, Walt, what did they do? It doesn't matter now. I'm sorry you're caught in the middle of this. You're a good brother. But Tommy made his choice. Where are you? Somewhere safe. I hung up. The texts kept coming. Michael, Jennifer, Tommy. Even Mark sent a few. I read them all. Didn't respond to any. Around 8 that evening, my phone rang with a number I didn't recognize. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Mr. Morrison, this is Bill Crawford. I wanted to let you know, your son showed up at my house about an hour ago. He was pretty upset. I told him the sale was legal and final, showed him all the paperwork. He left, but I wanted to give you a heads up. I appreciate that, Bill. For what it's worth, I think you did what you had to do. I've seen family businesses tear families apart. Sometimes the kindest thing is to just cut it clean. After he hung up, I sat on the hotel bed and thought about that. Cut it clean. Maybe he was right. Catherine and I used to talk about legacy, what we'd leave behind. She'd always said it wasn't about money or property. It was about how you treated people. The mark you left. The memories. I'd spent 40 years building Morrison's Auto Repair. My father's 40 years before that. 80 years of honest work, fair prices, good service, customers who trusted us. Michael wanted to sell it to a national chain for $920,000. They'd gut it, rebrand it, fire the mechanics who'd worked there for decades, install teenagers at minimum wage, run it like every other corporate shop. I'd sold it to Bill Crawford. He'd keep it local, keep the name, keep the reputation. Maybe in 40 years his kid would take it over. Or maybe not, but at least I'd given it a chance to continue being what it was supposed to be. That night, I finally called Michael back. He answered on the first ring. Dad, don't, I said. Don't apologize. Don't explain. Just listen. He was quiet. I heard you. At Emma's party. Every word. I know what you were planning. Dad, I was just venting. I didn't mean... Yes, you did. And maybe you were right. Maybe I was losing my edge, but that doesn't give you the right to plan my life without me. To talk about me like I'm a problem to be solved. I'm sorry, we should have talked to you. We should have... Should have what, Michael? Asked my permission to put me in assisted living? Consulted me before selling my father's business? He had no answer. I want you to understand something, I continued. I didn't sell that shop to hurt you. I sold it because it was mine to sell. Because I built something. And I got to decide what happened to it. That's not cruelty. That's ownership. The money, Dad. We could have... The money was never yours. You don't inherit what I've earned just because you're my son. You inherit what I choose to give you. And right now, I choose to give you nothing. Silence. Then, quietly, what about Emma? That hit different. My granddaughter, 7 years old. Innocent in all this. Emma will be fine, I said. She has 2 parents who make good money. She doesn't need my money. She needs a grandfather who taught her that love isn't transactional. That family means something more than property value. Will I see you again? I didn't have an answer to that. I don't know. Maybe. When I'm ready. I hung up. 2 days later, I checked out of the hotel, drove south, stopped in Eugene for the night, then Ashland, then Redding, kept going until I hit the California coast. Found a small town called Trinidad, population 900, beautiful ocean views, quiet. I rented a house on a bluff overlooking the water. Month to month, cheap. The landlord was a woman about my age named Patricia. She asked if I was running from something. Not running, I said. Just driving. Fair enough. I've been here for 6 weeks now. I wake up, walk on the beach, drink coffee, read books, think about Catherine, think about Michael, think about the 40 years I spent under car hoods. Michael sends a text every few days. Usually short. Thinking about you. Hope you're okay. Emma asks about you. I read them. Sometimes I respond. Usually just, I'm fine. Once I sent back, tell Emma I love her. Tommy hasn't contacted me at all. I heard through Mark that Bill Crawford didn't hire him. Tommy found work at a Jiffy Lube. I felt bad about that for about 10 minutes. Yesterday I got a long email from Jennifer. She apologized. Said she'd tried to talk Michael out of it. Said she never wanted to hurt me. Said Emma misses me. Said they'd love to visit if I'd let them know where I was. I haven't responded yet. Maybe I will. Maybe I won't. Here's what I've learned. Respect isn't inherited. It's earned with every conversation, every decision, every moment you choose to treat someone like they matter. Michael stopped respecting me long before that barbecue. He just got sloppy enough to let me hear it. I'm 64 years old. I've got money in the bank, good health, a nice view of the Pacific Ocean, and I've got something Michael will never understand. I'm free. Free from expectations. Free from obligations to people who saw me as a burden. Free to spend my last good years however I choose. Sometimes I wonder if I did the right thing. If I should have confronted Michael, given him a chance to explain, worked it out like reasonable adults. But every time I think that, I remember his voice through that office door. The old man's lost his edge. Assisted living. You can forgive words, but you can't unhear them. Morrison's auto repair is still open. I drove by last month. Bill Crawford kept the name like he promised. Added his name underneath in smaller letters. Morrison Crawford Auto Repair. The parking lot was full. The sign was freshly painted. It looked good. My father would have been proud. This morning I finally sent Michael a longer text. I'm okay. Living on the coast. Tell Emma I'll visit for Christmas. We'll talk then. Not ready yet, but I will be. Give me time. He responded in seconds. Thank you, Dad. We'll wait. Love you. I don't know if we'll fix this. I don't know if trust, once broken, can ever fully heal. But I know this. I'm not a burden. I'm not helpless. I'm not someone to be managed or disposed of. I'm Walter Morrison. I owned something. I built something. And when the time came, I protected it in the only way I knew how. That's not revenge. That's dignity. And if my son never understands that, well, that's his burden to carry, not mine.